to walk you through the housing process at the Road Home, so that you know what it's like for a guest who is looking for housing, and to really highlight for you how all of our teams and all of our departments are involved in helping someone move out of homelessness and back into housing. So the first point of contact for most guests are our guest advocates that sit at the front desks of our resource centers. Not only are those advocates responsible for checking folks in, assigning a bed, but they're really looking for ways to have conversations about each guest housing plan and how they can best support that plan. Our case managers in shelter are really focused on sharing new housing opportunities with our guests every day and assisting them to source those vital documents that they'll need for a housing application. So IDs, birth certificates, social security numbers. And then when the time comes to transition from shelter into housing, those case managers are there to help. Now the next step is to meet with a housing eligibility specialist. Our eligibility specialists will help fill out necessary paperwork and determine what funding stream a household might be eligible for. They'll then refer that household on to our housing navigation team. Now, our housing navigators are located not only in our resource centers, but in other resource centers throughout the community. So it really is a community-wide effort to house folks in shelter. Our housing navigators are working with property managers and private landlords every day to find affordable units in locations that suit our guest needs. Once in housing, our guests are partnering with housing case managers to really address those underlying causes of homelessness. Now, every household is different, so their goals look different and their needs are unique, but some of those goals might include increasing income, seeking treatment for behavioral health needs, looking at child development, and maybe addressing some of those health conditions that often take a backseat when you're experiencing a housing crisis. We also have property management and housing stability specialists, and those two teams really are focused on helping tenants maintain housing. Sometimes that looks like the creation of a rent repayment plan when families fall behind. We help address maintenance issues, and we're really working to make sure that households understand their lease and are able to comply with all of the facets of the lease. And from time to time, we will offer some coaching on how to navigate that tenant-landlord relationship. Sometimes it's a little tricky and could use some support, so we provide that. We are really interested also in helping families and individuals build positive rental histories so that at some point, when they're ready to move on and don't need assistance from us, they have that strong rental history as support for their next tenancy. Behind the scenes, our administrative teams are working day in and day out. They're working to make sure that hundreds of rent checks are cut every month and sent out to property managers and landlords. They are sourcing those funding streams through grants and other applications and making sure those funds are administered properly. And our teams are also working every day on community partnerships and sourcing volunteers that can bring the resources that we need in order to deliver services to the people who need them most. Those resources are so important in order for our guests to be successful in housing. Every month, the Road Home supports hundreds of veterans, families, and single men in housing. In fact, we support more people in housing every month than we do in shelter, which is something that we're really proud of. The housing supports that we provide to each household vary. Some households just need a few months of rental assistance and very light touch case management, while other households need a deep rental subsidy and very long-term intensive supports in order to stabilize. So we base our services on what the household needs and we'll adapt to that. Most of the households that we support do sign leases in the community, just in the regular rental market. So highlighting again that finding all of the housing units that are affordable possible in our county is very, very important to our agency and to the success of the people that we serve. For those households who need on-site services and those more intensive supports that I was talking about, the Road Home operates Palmer Court, which is 201 units of permanent supportive housing, and Wendell Apartments, which provides 32 units of permanent supportive housing. Palmer Court just last year celebrated its 10-year anniversary and has been a place to call home for hundreds of households in that time. We're also looking forward to the opening of Magnolia Apartments next year. That will be 65 units of permanent supportive housing for the most vulnerable individuals in our community. We're really excited about that. As our agency continues to grow and we keep serving the most vulnerable in our community, we really are looking forward to increasing our partnerships and expanding our housing programs. From experience, we know that housing is the solution to homelessness. It is the only thing that works. Housing coupled with services works. And so we invite you to join us in supporting the creation of more affordable housing in our community and in helping every person who experiences homelessness to quickly transition from emergency shelter or the streets back into housing.